Hello, everybody, and welcome to Culture Talk. My name is Kortnie Smith, owner of the Sports Culture. And tonight, I want to introduce you guys to a new thing we're doing called Talk About It. So Talk About It is just a segment where we bring some great minds together and just talk about sports. And anything you do new, you definitely got to start at home. So tonight, we're going to talk about basketball in the Baltimore and the DMV area. This is not like Baltimore's better, DMV's better, just simply talking about the sports. And if it goes there, but whatever. And tonight we have some really great minds that we brought together just to discuss it. So representing Baltimore, we have two people from Team Melo, Coach Corbett and Coach Rucker. How you guys doing this evening?
Good. Glad to be on the show.
Thank you. Also representing Baltimore, we have the jokester, Myles, who's the head coach of St. Francis Academy. How you doing this evening?
I'm wonderful.
And the lone wolf.
You say the best for last, huh? Kortnie, you say the best for last?
There you go.
I was trying to represent home first, but and the lone
wolf. All right. I just was asking. I know Mike USA basketball. I just want to see why you get the last introduction. That's it.
No worries. And last but not least, the lone wolf representing the DMV area, head coach of the varsity team at Dematha, Mike Jones. How you doing this evening, sir?
Doing well. Appreciate you giving me the opportunity to hang out with some good people.
Some good people. No problem. Thank you guys for joining us. So I want to jump right in, and I'm going to start with Mike. Since you're by yourself, I want to start with you and ask you, like, when you think about basketball, not in the DMV but in Baltimore, what are some things that come to mind about basketball here?
Tradition on all levels. Whether it be grassroots, whether it be high school, college teams. And then NBA players. So, the Baltimore Bullets, even back in the day, being a Baltimore franchise. So tradition definitely stands out to me. And then toughness. I mean, the city of Baltimore has always been a very resilient city. And their kids play the game with a tremendous amount of passion. But, toughness is something that I think just they breed in their kids up there.
Thank you. Let's go down the line with the same question. Coach Corbett, when you think about basketball in the DMV area, so we're talking PG, Montgomery County, DC, and Northern Virginia, what are some things you think about there when you hear basketball in DMV?
Great competition, NBA players, legacy, legends, rivalries. List goes on and on with that competitive edge. See them go at each other. It's that grind, that intensity. Watch that program and those guards in that East Coast area. Just cream of the crop. That's where you come to recruit.
Yeah, Coach Rucker, same thing. What do you think about when you think basketball in the DMV?
I would say work ethic. A lot of kids from this area play with a chip on their shoulder. We kind of, we see a lot of kids that think they're under recruited or underrated and that type of thing. So they step on the court and they play like that, so their toughness is at an all-time high. They're very competitive, and it creates good basketball.
See, Coach Myles, this time I saved you for last. So tell me what you think about basketball in the DMV area.
Just, toughness. You get a smart kid and just competitive, man. You got the most competitive kids in the country, kids from this area. Or up in the PG County and DC, just competitive kids and want to win and want to represent their area.
Yeah. So
Kortnie, I want to add something too, and I know you haven't gotten to it. I don't know if you're going to get to it, but I think I compare. I think both areas have a quality: the DMV kids and the B-more kids. So if you think about it, like anybody talk about New York basketball players, like through the years. They can handle and they can get to the hole, but they can't shoot. You get the, down south, you get the really athletic guys that, may not have the skill set, but, they can jump out the gym. You get the West Coast guys and they, fast break. Sometimes people call them soft, but, I don't necessarily agree to that, but they're just an up and down type player. You go Chicago, they have their type of player. I think one of the things about DC and Baltimore is our guys do all of that. Yeah. Like, we're tough, we're skilled, we get up and down the floor, we're athletic. Like, you can get all of that, you know, and I don't know why that is. I don't know what the explanation is, but I just think our area encompasses what the game is supposed to be. And we're not, you know, just growing up in a culture that, like, you do this one thing well. Like, we have guys that coach and teach the guys to do everything well. And I'm proud of that.
I'm glad you brought that up, because to me, some of the best basketball is just played right here. Like, you shoot down in Northern Virginia if you're from Baltimore, or they can come up here, or they stop in DC, PG, wherever. Some of the best basketball is here. And what do we, you know, this is a question for anybody. Why do we think that is the case? Like, why is it that a lot of NBA players come from Baltimore, or from the DMV? What are we doing differently here that allows that to happen?
I mean, again, like I said, you know, when I spoke before, I think I know in Baltimore for sure, we kind of take on the approach like we're underdogs. You know, we under-recruited, you know, we don't get the same hype that, you know, per se, like a New York kid, you know, where they say, quote unquote, is the mecca of basketball, that type of thing, or Chicago kid. So, you know, we always look at it like when we go out of town, whether it's high school, AAU, what have you, you know, USA basketball, I'm sure if you got a Baltimore kid there or a DC kid, like, they're going to play with a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah. So do you think there's a difference, though? Is there a different style, even though we're like, 45 minutes up the road from each other? Is there a different style that we play with here in Baltimore, a different style played in DMV, or is it pretty much the same type of basketball?
For lack of a better way of saying it, yeah, I think it's the same. You know, we're not, the DMV as a whole, like, Baltimore's got its rich areas, just like DC got its rich areas. But I mean, our kids, like, we're not walking around here coaching. Like, that's not who we are. That's not our environment. That's not our culture. Like, I think, both very diverse. Like, we get rich kids, we get poor kids. We get kids that, you know, live in $1 million house, but we also get kids that own Section 8. Like, and then everything in between. And, you know, you got 2-parent households, you got single-parent households, you got guys that grow up with their grandparents because their parents are not there. I mean, I think we are what the world is. Like, and it's just so happens to be in this area right here. And I'm sure you can go to any city in this country and say the same thing. But in terms of what motivates our kids, like, you know, Coach Rucker was just saying, like, yo, we feel like we got something to prove every time we step out there. Like, and that's the way our kids play. Like, that's something that should be embraced. And I think it is. And that's why you see it so consistent throughout guys from both areas.
Now, when people tend to be the same, you tend to have like a little bit of a clash. And you just mentioned that, you know, basketball is similar in Baltimore and in DMV. So is there a healthy rivalry that's happening between both areas?
Oh, definitely a healthy rivalry. They compete. They all know each other. All the kids know each other. So when they get in the gym and play each other, they know their tendencies. And although they go hard at each other, they're going to spend a hand at the end of their game. You know, they're going to fellowship. They're going to congrat. But it's a friendly rivalry. You're not out there trying to kill each other. Like you said, they just want to win. I got to prove to you I'm better than you. You got to prove to me you're better than me. And that's how they go at it.
Absolutely.
Every kid's got pride in where he comes from. Like, and I mean, why are you playing if you're not, you know, playing with that kind of that swagger? Like, yo, where I come from is the best. I don't care if I lived in a 2-room shed in the middle of the woods. Like, I feel like my neighborhood tougher than everybody else's. Like, it is what it is. But, you know, the rivalry, like, I think it's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, we push each other. You know, iron sharpens iron, as they say. Like, if Baltimore wasn't so good and didn't have the toughness that they have, and every time a DC team played a Baltimore team, the DC team dominated, then, like, what are we pushing ourselves for? Like, I look forward to playing against the teams from Baltimore. I look forward to every season, our season ending up in Cumberland, and we know we got to go through Baltimore to win that. And, I mean, that's a goal. So without it, like, the level that we play to gets lessened or dropped. And that's, like, our kids can't be as good as they are without it.
So you mentioned the rivalry game. So let's go there. What is a game? Coach Myles, we'll start with you with this one. What is a memorable game that you've played against a team from the DMV area?
I mean, can go back to 2 years ago at Alhambra when we played Dematha. Ace gets hurt in the BCL championship game at the end. We got Dematha first round at Alhambra, and we played a double overtime game with Dematha, and it was a great game. It was intense. Both teams wanted to win. Dematha pulled it out, but it was a great basketball game to be a part of, and I was proud of my kids' effort that night. So,
Coach Rucker, same question. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think about that, and I think about we won a Gonzaga Classic maybe 2 years ago. So that was, it was great being down in D.C. and get a chance to win a prestigious tournament like the Gonzaga Classic. So, those two things, stick out in my mind.
Coach Rucker, same question.
I would say probably my rivals with Team Takeover on the AAU side. I mean, we just played them yesterday. My age group played against Keith's team yesterday. That was a great game. But I mean, we've had so many rivalries, going back to, to Boo Williams down in Hampton, Virginia, a Peach Jam, my head coach, Coach Bub, and Keith Stevens, they both got thrown out the game because, they was going at it so hard. That was hilarious. But, and just to add to what Coach Jones was saying, Kortnie, like, one thing we got to give credit to is the adults, the coaches that's leading these young men, these young girls, like, in the field of battle. Like, we're letting these, we're letting these student athletes know how important the rivalry is, like what's at stake, like, what you're getting yourself into, so that when they step on the court, they're going to have that competitive mentality once they step on the court, and I know every time we play against DC, and I'm sure, when DC plays Baltimore, like, it's a known fact, like, this is bragging rights, this is what's at stake.
Yeah. Coach Corbett, same thing. What's the most memorable game that you've had coaching against a team from the DMV area?
Take over. And keep walking over there to take over the game, the coaching game. That's always fun for me. They battle, those two squads go at each other, they know each other. But going back further than that, DC Assault, Michael Beasley and that crew versus Darell Hopkins in that small gym. And they just battled. It's crazy, like a war. But it was a hell of a game. And everybody walked out of there with respect for each other. So those type things, you love to see those.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach Jones, same question.
To pick on, see, I saw the quote. I was ready to give the same answer Nick gave about the overtime game. Actually, I thought it was triple overtime. It seemed like that game took forever. And I mean, honestly, we were fortunate to win. They didn't have, aces, legendary, especially. I mean, I don't know how many game winners he had just that season for Nick's team. So, like, him not playing obviously made it a little bit easier, but clearly it wasn't easy because it took, 2 overtimes to get it done. So back in 2006, going into the championship game in Alhambra, Mount St. Joe's was 38-0. We were 33-1. We were, I believe, number 4 in the country. Mount St. Joe's was number 3 in the country, and we played in the championship. And just in terms of national implications, rankings, national championships, and things like that game was huge. We were fortunate enough to win. Mount St. Joe had a chance to have the best record in the state of Maryland ever, to finish 39-0. No one's ever won that many games undefeated before. So they were playing for a lot. And honestly, that was our motivation to win. Like, it was a championship game. We wanted to be the champions, but we also didn't want to be the team that lost and set a record that, probably is never going to be broken. Nobody else is going to go 39-0, not anytime soon. And then the legendary game, I just talked about 2 wins for us. Legendary game way back in the day before I was born, I think. Skip Wise beat Dematha by himself. So, and I know I've had plenty of people talk to me about that game. I've been interviewed about the game like I was there. Skip Wise obviously is just not a Baltimore legend or a Maryland legend. He's a national legend in terms of the game of basketball and just his ability. But him beating Dematha basically single-handedly when we had All-Americans on our team and none of them could stop him. I would say that's probably the game that I wind up talking about the most, and I wasn't even born yet. So
now you mentioned one of the players from Baltimore. So I want to ask each one of you, if you had to pick your top 5 or top starting 5 from your area, who would you pick? And Nick, we'll start with you with this one. Your top 5 from Baltimore. It could be positionless. You know, you can have a 7-footer if you want running a 1. I mean, I wouldn't, but you know, if that's what you like to do. Your top 5.
Every time I ask this question, I always say I'm not gonna pick none of the guys I coached because I love them all. So I always say that, and I'm gonna pick the guys from our era when I played. So you know, I always tell a question like that because there's so many eras. If you talk about the top 5 from my area when I grew up watching playing or played with. You gotta go Kevin Simpson. Kev was phenomenal. Mike Lloyd, Mark Kulture, Shante Rogers, and Kevin Norris. I'll take that 5 against anybody in the country.
Against anybody in the country?
Anybody in the country with that 5.
Some bold words right there.
Yeah.
Coach Rucker, your top 5 from Baltimore.
Real tough question. I would say Sam Cassell, Melo, Reggie Lewis.
Oh.
Michael Lloyd, just hard to keep him out from. Yeah, Michael Lloyd and Muggsy Bogues.
Ooh. NBA players in that one. Corbett, what's your top 5 from Baltimore?
I'm going with Ruck, except I got to throw Melo in there.
I said Melo.
You said Melo.
Okay.
Yeah, Melo.
All right, okay. I got to go with that. I mean, I can't touch that unless when we throw the young kids in there, like a Malcolm Delaney.
It's okay.
Yeah, I got to look out for my boys. You know, some of those guys, I mean, yeah, the rest of that list he threw out there. Damn, yeah.
So if you taking Malcolm Delaney, who we taking out of his 5?
Taking Muggsy out. I'm putting him out. Yes, I am. Taking Muggsy out, I'm putting my boy Malcolm. Yeah. I can go there.
I can't say nothing about that. Hey, listen, Malcolm's one of the best players I coached against in our league. But Muggsy played, 15 years in the league, Cole?
Yeah, I know.
That's tough.
I know. I'm going with the hammer, though. I'm going with the hammer.
Coach Jones from the DMV area, who are you taking?
that's too tough. So first of all, let me say this: like coaches are naming guys that I got bad memories, like bad memories. Like, the first time I ever got dunked on, Mike Lloyd. Like, oh my gosh, I will never forget that. I'm one of the youngins playing in Urban Coalition down here in DC, and I played against an NBA player like the weekend before, scored like 40, and I was just the Catholic schoolboy playing in the league. But, you know, I got a little rep from that game. The very next weekend, I'm playing against this guy, and I can't do nothing. Like, he is coming down, pulling up in my face, and I have no idea who this dude is. And I'm just like shaking my head. Like, I guess I was a one-hit wonder. After the game, I'm just like feeling all down. And then I just wound up asking, I was like, yo, who was that? And they was like, yo, that was Sam Cassell. Like, you don't know? And like Sam Cassell just torched me, drugged me up and down the court for freaking 48 minutes. And I will never forget that. So you guys naming guys that, like, I'm seriously like sitting over here flinching, thinking about what I had to go through. So, man, that's a hard question. Like, I've gotten in trouble recently, like this during this pandemic with all these calls with people asking who the best 5. I should have called Nick before I answered the question before. So I'm going to take his advice and I'm not including anybody from Dematha that I coached that are just.
Out of Dematha, though. They all.
But we got to, like, because I'm going to get so much backlash because I named this kid, didn't name this kid. So I'm going to just go non-Dematha players.
Gotcha.
You know,
smart man, Mike. A smart man.
Hey, man, I should have asked you first.
Smart man.
I should know better. You know, obviously, Len Bias. Yeah, you know, I got a very short list of people I idolized growing up. Len Bias was one of them. And I think anytime you talk about our area, even though with a tragic end to his life, like he still was, I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Like if Michael Jordan would be Michael Jordan if Len Bias was able to continue to play.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so Len Bias, Johnny Dawkins. You know, Johnny Dawkins won at the high school level, won at the college level, won at the NBA level. And, you know, being such a successful coach now, he's still relevant with the game of basketball, but you got to mention him. And then you've got, like, we've been fortunate, like Elgin Baylor is from DC. Like he's, you know, #1 pick, like one of the best players ever. You know, you got guys like him. You've got, and then more recently, I'll go with DeMar Johnson. DeMar Johnson, before his car accident, DeMar Johnson was, you know, the first kid I ever heard of before LeBron. Like they talked about DeMar Johnson being able to go straight to the NBA from his junior year of high school, not after his senior year, but from his junior year. And just his skill set before he got injured in a car accident. Like he was a 6'9", play every position, could shoot, could handle, could rebound, could defend, like he could do it all. And then to round it out, there's just so many guys I could choose from. But the dude that kept me up late at night trying to think about having to coach against a team that he played on the next day was Chris Lights from Gonzaga. Just, you know, and not very tall, but oh my gosh, like, you know, we had some success against him, but he, like, just preparation for him was just something that got all my attention, put it that way.
I think it's interesting. No KD love, no Rudy Gay love.
Yeah, you know what?
Right.
KD, I think, is the best player in the world. KD is also the answer that everybody says. You know, I obviously, again, you sent these questions over early, so I was prepared. I decided, as much as I love KD, again, he's I believe, the best player in the world.
Yeah.
I decided to give some love to some other guys that have come up through our area. And, you know, the DJ, you know, even KD will tell you that DJ, because of what happened to him, doesn't get the love he used to get. And, like, again, Len Bias is my idol.
Yeah.
Like, he could replace either one of them on the list, but I won't do that.
To my Baltimore guys, no Rudy Gay love? None?
Man,
Kortnie, I was in college doing Rudy Gay.
Corbett a little biased with Rudy Gay. We coached Will Thomas, so Will Thomas was our guy. We battled with Rudy, so we might be a little biased with Rudy. We love him, but we're a little biased.
I never saw Rudy. I never saw Rudy play in high school. I was going away for college.
Oh,
so
okay.
I wanted to see guys that I actually saw play, and actually witnessed, you know, either played with or played against. So, you know, I've never seen Rudy play at Spalding.
So whose 5 would win? Out of everybody here, whose 5 is winning? We played a small little tournament. I mean, Corbett and Rucker got like the same 5, so that's a little tough. But who's winning?
My 5 tough. I don't know if you know the names. Corbett and Rucker tell you. Even Mike can tell you.
Mike Jones got the best 5. I'm gonna tell you why. He got Chris Leaks, and none of our 5s play Chris Leaks right now.
Hey, I don't know. Muggsy. Hey, I love to see a game between Muggsy and Chris Lights. I would love to see that.
But I'm saying not right now.
Don't forget Nut, man. You still got Nut too.
Yeah,
Nut was a bad boy.
Yeah.
Muggsy's defense though. Muggsy's defense to me just kind of sets the tone for that team. You know what I mean? Like,
in your face, up on you, baseline to baseline. You ain't get draws half court.
I remember Coach Wooten telling stories about Muggsy Bogues and saying, you know, the guards that we had would catch the ball and look, and he was so low, like they turn around and look and think nobody's there, and then go put their ball down, and he done took it from him. So
who's guarding Len Bias though? Who?
Yeah, I mean,
we gotta hope he miss.
So what's the game plan? If you had to coach your 5, what's your game plan? Let's start with Coach Jones. We'll start with you this time. If you had to coach your 5, what's your game plan?
You're going to be feeling bad about not putting KD on the team because clearly I would just give him the ball and just tell everybody else to get out of the way. But, I mean, honestly, like I'm the way I coach is just real big on ball and body movement and having 5 talented guys on the floor. Like nobody should dominate that. Let's get that ball moving around and just take advantage of wherever the openings are. And with 5 guys that are as talented as the 5 that I mentioned, like you're gonna be able to get buckets. And I mean, I would truly look forward to. I wish I had a chance to coach a team like that.
Coach Corbett, same question. If you were coaching your 5, what's your game plan?
We high screen and roll. We gonna drive and kick. We gonna scrap up and play you baseline to baseline and trap you on corner. We coming at you.
Coach Rucker, same question. If you coaching your 5, what's your game plan?
Baseline to baseline with Muggsy and Mike Lord, it's gonna be tough for any guards to to get that ball up comfortably, all game. So definitely a lot of pressure defense. I got scores with Melo and Reggie Lewis and and Sam Cassell, so I got some scores, but definitely that baseline to baseline with Muggsy and Mike Lord.
Coach Myles, what's your game plan coaching your 5?
Oh, defense. My 5 offensively, some of the most talented guys I've ever seen offensively. So we just gonna focus on defense. We're gonna pressure the ball 94 feet. We're gonna play good old Baltimore basketball, in your face all game.
So I want to end this with like a world challenge. If you could pick from both areas, you don't have to pick a 5 from both areas, but if you could pick from both areas, is there any other city that you could think of that could beat you? That's for anybody.
I think the best basketball in the country, or in the world, some of the best basketball in the world is right here in the DMV. And we separate ourselves, but everybody from the outside looking at us as one area because we're so close to each other. And even the area is separate. I take our area separate against anybody else in the country. And we always said when we travel, when you travel and you're in a tournament and we've been places with Mike or with Steve and we playing other high schools. I take out brand of basketball against anybody in the country. I don't know about those guys, but I definitely will, and I love seeing both brands play. Baltimore and PG.
I would agree with that 100%. It's just, and not flexing, but I've coached international basketball. I've seen basketball around the world, and it's nothing like the way we play. You go to and get teams from these other countries, and they might have 6 good players on a team of 12. Like you get a team from Baltimore, you get a team from DC, it's gonna have 12 good players out of 12. Like we're gonna, maybe their 6 is as good as our 6, but when they put their next 6 in, and we put our 6 in, that's where we're gonna blow them out. And honestly, that's something that, again, it's just, our country as a whole, we're always going to have the depth. But this area, if you're picking a team, like you just know you're going to have talent. You're going to have something to work with. If you're a coach, you want to coach kids from our area. Look at what our kids do in college. Like, you go around the country and look at the best basketball being played in colleges around the country. It's kids from Baltimore and D.C. on those teams. Like, you look at the NCAA tournament every year, and lo and behold, you're going to have an announcer talk about a kid's hometown being Baltimore, Maryland, being Washington, D.C., being in Prince George's County. And those teams are the ones that are on TV still playing. Like, it's coaches want guys from our area because they know what they're getting. They've already been coached. They're tough. They ain't quitting. They ain't no punks. And they know how to play the game. And, again, I think that's just a tribute to our culture.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to thank you guys for joining the first ever Talk About It. I really appreciate it. And, I try to be, unbiased with this segment, but I got to agree. The best basketball is definitely played right here. So to have you guys come on and talk about it and, help reminisce about some great basketball is great. And hopefully we're able to have a season this year, shortened or not, where we get to come out and just see each other compete. Any last words for anybody out there?
I definitely have a last word. So, look, I got this email from this ranking that's got the way too early preseason rankings for the 2020-21 season.
I saw that.
And St. Francis is in the top 10, and Dematha is
go.
not in the top 10.
Here we go.
So,
We're not in the top
and
10. That's not
So,
true.
no, I'm telling
I
you, the
didn't see
one
that.
I saw, St.
Yeah.
Francis is number 9, and we are number 13.
I did see that one too. I saw that one.
So I'm gonna tell you right now, and this is when we talk about friendly rivalry or whatever. Like, honestly, when I saw that, my blood started getting a little warmer, and I was just like, yo, we gotta do something about this. So this is what this is all about. Like, there's a lot of other areas where, hey man, we ranked 13th, that'd be good enough. And that's good, and I'm happy and proud of it. But I don't want nobody 45 minutes up the road ahead of us either. So we gonna work. Hopefully we can have a season, and I'm gonna wish Nick all the luck. But my goal is gonna be to finish higher than he does. So that when we Saturday night in Cumberland, we can go and hug it out, have a good time. But that's what motivates me. And all jokes aside, a coach like Nick doing as well as he does makes me want to do better with my guys. And that's what the game is about. So, credit to you, all you guys up in B-More. But Nick, you especially.
Same to you, Coach. Same to you.
Everybody on that one.
Well, that's all for Culture Talk today. Thank you guys, and you guys have a good rest of the evening.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.